Very unusual event. So, I have to start by telling the story of a young man who Stella Lubarsky and I, Stella's sitting right over there, and I represented in the course of our JIDAN work. Our client was 18 years old. He had been in and out of the juvenile justice system since he was 11 years old. He had been raised by a grandfather because of child welfare involvement and all kinds of problems that his parents had had. And he was really trying to do the right thing. We started representing him after he'd been in juvenile custody for about a year and a half. And he was getting out, and to quote Joan Baez, he was suffering all the joys and fears of 2 years in the pen. But he really wanted to do the right thing. But he was a marked man. The parole system did not want to have to work with our client. They had worked with his older siblings. They didn't want to have to go to the block, one of the worst blocks in Newark, New Jersey, to supervise him. They didn't trust him. They didn't trust his grandfather. They didn't trust his siblings. They were setting him up for failure. They were expecting him to fail. So he finally gets out. He is determined to try to enroll in college. He's determined to try to get a job. He's determined to do it right this time. And they set him up, and within 10 days of the time he's released, they have him on a probation violation or a parole violation petition, all technical violations. Now, if that had happened before the MacArthur Foundation funded us to do our JIDAN work, if we were not there to provide post-dispositional representation, our client would have gone back into custody. He would have remained in custody until he served out his term, and heaven knows where he would be 6 months from now when he finally got out. Because of JIDAN, because of what we were able to do, because we had the resources and the passion and the ability to provide representation to this young man, Stella put together a phenomenal defense at the parole revocation hearing. In New Jersey, there had not been a defended parole revocation hearing in recent memory for a juvenile. They could not remember, despite a system that gives a right to counsel to kids in revocation hearings, they could not remember a single contested parole revocation hearing until Stella Lubarsky and I walked in that room. Our client is out. We won that hearing. He is working. He is trying to enroll in college. We have every expectation that he will be in college in January. He wants to be a productive, thriving member of his community, and I really believe he is going to. Had it not been for the work that JIDAN allowed us to do, that would not be the case. And so I have to begin by thanking from the bottom of my heart the MacArthur Foundation for allowing all of us in the Juvenile Indigenous Defense Action Network to do the work that we've done over the past 3 or 4 years. It has made an enormous difference in the lives of the clients we've represented, and I hope for future clients and for future kids who find themselves tied up in the system. So thank you to everyone at MacArthur. Lori, the work that you've done has just been phenomenal. It's been transformative. It has been a life-changing occurrence, certainly for me, and I think for all of our colleagues in JIDAN. So thank you. I have to also just recognize that my amazing mother, Doris Cohen, surprised me a half an hour ago, and she's sitting at this table here. My parents, like I'm sure most of your parents in the room, raised me to believe that you can make a difference in the world, you can make a difference in your community, you can make a difference on behalf of people who haven't had what you've had. And I have to say very quickly that my mom, who has just done amazing work in social services throughout her career, got me started in this when I was in 10th grade because she was in a volunteer court observation program in the family court in Rochester, New York, and I needed to do a research paper, and I had no idea what to do this research paper on. She said, "This whole status offenders thing really doesn't make sense to me. Why don't you do a paper on pins?" And here I am, all these years later, so thank you. My husband, Mike Sullivan, himself is an extraordinary defender. He is my sounding board, my reality check, my inspiration, and absolutely the lawyer I'd want to have sitting next to me if, heaven forbid, I ended up on the other side of counsel table. So thank you, Mike. The New Jersey Office of the Public Defender has, as you heard on the tape, has been our partner throughout all of this. I'm so sorry that Cindy Samuels from the Public Defender's Office couldn't be here today. I think there was a competing conference. But if we hadn't had the partnership and the leadership of the Public Defender's Office, none of the work that we've been doing in New Jersey would have been possible. So I have to, again, thank Cindy and her colleagues at the OPD. This just could not have happened. I don't know where to begin talking about the staff of the National Juvenile Defender Center. They are extraordinary. They are passionate. They have done such phenomenal work in this area, and they have inspired me time and time again over the course of the last 18 years. I hate to say, but it's been 18 years since Patty Puritz, in her inimitable way, cornered me as I was being handed my 3-month-old baby to nurse to say, we have to talk. So, and talk we have. But Ray's leadership in the communications area is phenomenal. Nadia has given invaluable help in the brief writing that we've done in New Jersey. Marianne Scally has such extraordinary insight and judgment, and her help on the ground in New Jersey has been incredible. Patty, you are visionary, you are brilliant, you've built this community out of the ether, and I don't know how any of us, and certainly any of our clients, begin to pay our debt to you, so thank you. You saw Stella on the tape. Stella Lubarsky has been our JIDAN post-disposition fellow in New Jersey, along with Lisa Geis. They have made all of this work possible on the ground. I don't know what we would have done without them. Our colleagues from JIDAN who are out there, I think you're all sort of scattered around. The relationships we've built over the last 3 years have been really some of the richest relationships I've had in my professional career, and I can't thank you enough for your camaraderie and your friendship during that time. I need to dedicate this award and really give this award to Sandra Simpkins, my colleague from Rutgers Law School, Camden. It should be Sandra up here and not I. Sandra has a passion for this work that is unequaled in anyone I have encountered in my life as a juvenile defender. She has grit determination to ensure that no child is held in solitary confinement, that no child is physically assaulted, that no child is denied mental health treatment, and that every child who comes out of custody comes out with a realistic promise of succeeding, of putting his or her past behind him and making sure that whatever brought him or her into the system in the first place doesn't follow that child for the rest of his or her life. Sandra has pushed me to do more and to do it better. Her advocacy is unrelenting and tenacious. In New Jersey, she has succeeded in invalidating a regulation that allowed children who are serving time in the juvenile system to be transferred to adult custody with no due process, with no hearing, with no right to counsel. She single-handedly said that is not right, took it into the appellate courts, and got that regulation overturned. She has successfully challenged conditions of confinement in New Jersey when nobody had done it before. She simply does not give up. If a door closes, she finds that window and she climbs in. The only reason I am up here is, in typical fashion, she got herself together to make a nomination, and I didn't. And if I had, it would have been Sandra, and she would be here right now. So I am so fortunate and so unbelievably grateful to have had your friendship and to have you as a colleague and to be a partner with you on this journey. I don't know where any of us would have been without you. Thank you. And thank all of you.